Alright, y'all. We all know what happened about 2 months ago in Allen, Texas, when an ex-security officer became a gunman and mass shooter, killing 8 people in Allen, Texas. But what I don't think people realize is the size of the arena, the size of what happened there, and how far this police officer who took the man down actually went to get him. As you can see here, illustrated in blue, this is where the officer started. Red is where the gunshots came from. This blue line is where the officer ran and then finally took a shot. 14 shots, I believe it was, and got him. In less than 5 minutes, this officer went from talking with a mother and her 2 kids about seatbelt safety, to reporting shots fired, to grabbing his rifle, realizing what he had, taking this gunman down who himself had a rifle and lots of ammunition. We all know what happened there, but now I want to show you the area 2 months after and how busy this place was the day this happened and how busy it still is 2 months later. So as you drive through the parking lot, you can see there's cars coming everywhere. There's people walking around, families with strollers, just enjoying the day, shopping, enjoying the hot Texas sun, and walking from store to store. So the enormous size of this area is actually amazing, and it's something I haven't seen reported on the news very much. So the officer was actually he was actually parked right around the corner here on the right hand side. So give me just a second as I loop around and get to that spot, and then I'm going to take you through the travel path in the car, because I am not walking that far. I can't run that far. I don't want to walk that far. But you can see here, this mall, this shopping center is full of people. All races, all colors, all sizes, all dimensions. So here we are right about where this thing started, where the officer was talking with the mother. You can see the Levi's store behind there. And you can see this about where she realized, where she heard. In any language, gunshots are gunshots. And she went for safety. And as you can see here, traffic in this area it's a parking lot. It's a standstill. So people who ask why the officer didn't take his vehicle, this is the real reason. The other thing is the sounds echo through here. So he's still trying to gauge exactly where things are coming from, I'm sure. And I think what he actually did is he realized as he was running where these echoes were coming from, and then of course where people were running from the most and running to, which he ran to the line of fire where other people were running away. So you can see here he has his rifle in hand, a couple of magazines. I don't know what he has on his belt or his vest, and he's on the way. So this officer runs down to the left here, down about in front of Converse and down by Jockey, and then he can hear the gunshots and he can see where people are running from. So he turns to his left and he runs down this long lane of cars. There's actually one more over to the right, but same size. There's about 20 parking spots here. So you can figure out how far this guy actually ran until he reached the other section, the other building of this shopping center. So he comes off to the right, and you can see him in the video where you watch his body camera. He comes out here in front of the Polo store. And in his video, you can see there aren't very many people around. People realized what was going on, and they started taking cover. You can see there's a little food truck area there. I think they have snow cones. And as you turn the corner, you see now what we recognize to be the H&M. You can see right by where that blue car is really close to where the gunman stopped his car. And on the left there is where his first victims lost their lives. But once again, you can see how busy this parking lot is and how people just walk around. And as tragic as things were, you can see how fortunate things were as well. What people could have done to avoid this and not become victims, There's not much. There's not much. So you can see the officer's body camera here at D24 there. He runs down this second stretch, and he's catching his breath. He's run a long distance. There's 20 cars in that first section there, and there's more than that in this second section here. 20 car lengths. There are parking spots. So you can just figure out how far. He turns the corner here, and in his body cam video, you can see on the left-hand side there is about where he saw what at first he thought was a gunman, but it turned out to be just another victim. And he ran down the corner here to this last corner. And I have to think this has been one of the scariest things ever, because you don't know if he's on the left, if he's on the right, or if he's straight ahead of you. And I think right about here, he heard more gunshots, and that's probably what told him about where he was. You can see down here, looking down here, you can't see anybody down there. And then he pops his head out to the right side, and I don't know if it was he's on the left-hand side of the beams or the outside right-hand side of the beams is when he actually saw the gunman. But you can see people are always just crossing here. So people did what they were supposed to do, and they took cover, saving their own lives. Not knowing when the police officers were going to be there, not knowing that there was an officer there. And you can see here the length from left-hand corner to right-hand corner. The far right-hand corner, not the middle there, the far right-hand corner is about the distance that this gunman is from this officer. Right here to a little bit past the J. Crew and right about where Fossil is, there was one more victim there. And I think that's probably what he heard the last few shots as he took aim to shoot. So he actually took aim a little bit to the left of Fossil there before that fire pit. So I want you to look again how many stores there. I think I counted 10 stores in between him and the gunman. So you can see how far that really is. Is that 100 yards? Is that it's a long ways. Even with a rifle, that's a long ways. Right here in front of Fatburger, you can see is where he took him down. So just take a look again. The distance that this officer, after running for about 4 minutes, catching his breath, adrenaline running, he took, I believe it was 14 shots, taking cover between the pillars, and the gunman went down, as we all know. Right there. Right there in front of Fatburger. And then finally, at the very end, another officer comes around the corner and grabs him and says, "Okay, I got you." Allowing the officer to allow his body to take over and his adrenaline's run out by then. You can imagine. And you can see how well armed this guy was. I couldn't count how many shots he fired. I think it was around 40, 50, 60 at least. And you can see how much more he had. You can also see if he had made it around the corner, what else was there? There's many, many stores. And I'm sure there were people running from all directions because the exits are straight ahead and off to the right here. Also, the other thing is if he had actually gotten further down here, this little opening you see on the left here is where all those people who have been sheltering inside the buildings, where they may have tried to come out the back side of their stores. I don't know if they actually did or not, but people did the right thing in hiding and taking cover where they went. The police officers handled this very well. And you can see here we're coming to the exit straight ahead, and we're almost back to where the police officers started this whole thing again. So I just want to show you guys how big of a hero this police officer is on his own, and of course at the very end all the other officers got there. But he was a hero. He is a hero. Unnamed for now, but he is a hero. Alright, y'all. Stay well.